Hey everyone, welcome back to Hunters Connect. On today's tip, I'm going to be talking about scouting for whitetail deer. I'm going to basically just go over everything we do from start to finish when it comes to scouting. The first thing is get yourself a map of the particular area that you're planning to go scout, whether it's public, private land, doesn't matter, and try to look at aerial imagery of the property. The first thing we're looking for is some type of habitat transition, some type of edge, habitat diversity, and all that means is a change in habitat once you get out there. Today, for example, I'm out in some hardwood type terrain. I've got a lot of oaks and big trees and stuff behind me. What I'm looking for on the map is anywhere where there's an edge. So maybe where the oaks butt up against a CRP field, or where the oaks butt up against a bunch of evergreen trees like cedars or pines. Anywhere along that transition edge, you're going to start to find deer sign, because whitetail deer are creatures of edge, and that's what that means. It's edge habitat. So get a map, look for those habitat transitions and mark all those out, and then plan to go and visit those areas when you get out here and do your boots on the ground scouting. Now once you've got out here to the field, I'm going to talk about deer sign, what to look for there. You've got deer tracks, deer droppings, trails, deer beds, buck rubs, and scrapes. And once you get out here in the field and you start heading towards those edges that you've identified on a map, that's what you're looking for, and you're kind of looking for all of it. Once you get out there to the transition, you're going to start to see deer trails that go right along the edge of the transition. Look in the trails for actual deer tracks. You'll be able to tell if the track is really fresh, and what I like to do is come out and scout after a rain like we're doing today. That way you can see where deer have been in the last 24 to 48 hours since it's rained. After you've looked at enough of them, you'll be able to tell the difference between a fresh track and an old track. Fresh ones will have a real distinct edge where the hooves dug in. Older tracks will look more worn. They'll have curved edges around the edge of the print where water and wind and stuff has slowly started to erode the edge of the track. And also keep in mind that as tracks get older, they actually look bigger because of that reason. As you're scouting the habitat edges, especially if one side is thick and one side is open, if you creep into the thick cover a bit, you're going to start finding deer beds and deer droppings. And deer will constantly bed in these edges. They'll bed in the edge of the thick stuff facing an open area with the wind at their back. And the closer you can set up to these types of locations, the better odds you're going to have at seeing deer during the daylight. As you're getting closer to the bedding area itself within the edge, you're going to find beds, you're going to find deer droppings, you're going to run into more trails, more tracks, and you're even going to see where the deer have browsed on some of the native vegetation in and around that area, because it's where they're spending most of their day. The next thing we're looking for are buck rubs and scrapes, and I'll touch on scrapes first because you can find scrapes outside of deer season. That's a misconception a lot of folks have. Oftentimes scrapes are located in areas where multiple trails cross. They're right along the edges of bedding areas where bucks cruise to check for does before the rut, and they're along the edges of feeding areas as well. But we focus in on scrapes. We like running trail cameras over scrapes in particular because it's a community signpost for a lot of the bucks within the area. And the last thing we'll touch on is buck rubs. And you can find these a lot as well in the off season, you know, especially made from the last fall. They'll still be evident where the buck was rubbing there. But what we're looking for is the direction that the rub was made. On which side of the tree was the rub made, because what typically happens is a buck will walk up to a tree, he'll rub it, and then he'll continue on past it. Oftentimes they don't walk up there and then completely turn around and go to rubbing the tree. So you can tell which direction the deer was traveling whenever he made that particular rub. And if it's in the fall while they're making these rubs and you're scouting while you're hunting, you're going to want to look for fresh bark shavings and stuff on top of the leaf litter on the ground. That's going to show you how fresh that rub is, because the leaves are falling during the fall. If the rub is real slick and there's lots of fresh and somewhat damp bark laying on the ground, good chance that rub was made recently, and you need to pay close attention to that fresh sign, especially if you're hunting. But the rain's starting up on us now. It looks like we're gonna have to cut this scouting trip a little short. I hope that there were some tips there that will help you guys when you're out there scouting. Before you even go, remember these steps from start to finish. Look for habitat diversity, transitions, any type of edge, because that's where deer will travel and bed. And then look for all those different types of deer sign once you get out there, and you'll start being able to piece together the puzzle on how the deer use your particular area. Hopefully a few of these helped, and good luck in the field this fall.